Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Bellingham. So glad you're with us today. I know those of you on live stream may not be able to see the cherry blossoms behind me, but perhaps you're seeing the light coming through and touching them. And that's what I'm grateful for today as we move into the depths of spring here in the Pacific Northwest. Everything is in blossom. And I'm grateful for the change of the seasons, the light returning, and the opportunity to feel the blessing of sweet, warm air. So, in that, I will now turn it over to a sweet person. She is our music director, Amber Darlin, to take us into song.
Well, good morning, everyone. All right. Well, I am also so grateful for this change of seasons. Let's sing "I Am Blessed" together and think about all the ways in which we are blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed, 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 blessed. When I wake up in the morning or I lay my head to rest, I am blessed. I am blessed. I am free. I am free. I am free. Every day of my life, I am free, 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 free. When I wake up in the morning or I lay my head to rest, I am free. I am free. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed, 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 blessed. When I wake up in the morning or I lay my head to rest, I am blessed. I am blessed. Sing it out. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. One more time. I am blessed. I am blessed. Yes, we are all so blessed to be here this morning. If you are out there live on social media, we love to see your comments and see where you're tuning in from. Go ahead and say hello to this wonderful spiritual community. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Are you clapping? My soul is welcome here. 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 All right. right, well, I'm going to pass it on over to our practitioner of the day for an invocational prayer.
Hello and welcome, fellow humans, to the Center for Spiritual Living Bellingham. I'm happy to be here today and offer you this prayer. Yesterday was history. Tomorrow is a mystery. We are right here, right now, in this present moment, which offers everything. We are infinite spiritual beings, and that great divine presence is available all the time to everyone. And right now, I access that and I align with that energy. It is joy, it is beauty, it is movement into a new day and a new way of thinking. No matter where we've come from and what we've been through this last year, we are here and ready for what is next. I am so grateful for this knowing that this vast cosmic intelligence is within me and within you all. And so it is.
Thank you for that. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. Let's sing this together and surrender all our worries this past year, this whatever's in the past, really, and what's happening now, surrendering it all up to that great, vast energy that is love. I surrender. I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. Let's sing that one more time. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I fall into the arms of love. We are falling like the leaves of autumn, somehow already forgotten the tree from which we came. There's a calling like the river she's aiming, always rearranging to keep us moving along. If you think you're traveling slow, remember it takes takes all this darkness to grow. A tiny seed holds all there is to know, and there's strength in letting go. We are falling like the leaves of autumn, somehow already forgotten the tree from which we came. There's a calling like the river, she's aiming, always rearranging to keep us moving along. If you think you're traveling slow, remember it takes all this darkness to grow. A tiny seed holds all there is to know, and there's strength in letting go. We are drawing from an infinite unraveling. Oh, there's magic in meandering. Lean in and listen close. There's a longing, you can feel it in your heartbeat, and where the sky meets the open sea, always guiding us home. If you think you're traveling slow, remember it takes all this darkness to grow. A tiny seed holds all there is to know, and there's strength in letting go. There's a calling like the river, she's aiming, always rearranging to keep us moving along.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Heidi. So grateful for you two on this beautiful day, and welcome everyone again. The theme for the month is Prism of Experience, and it has to do with as we're standing on the brink of everything, which is our yearly theme. One of the things we need to be sensitive to and aware of is how we filter reality, and that prism of looking at life through our past experiences can sometimes be very helpful and sometimes not so much. So today I wanted to speak a little bit about that, and about not just what we need to change, but actually how to change when we've allowed ourselves to maybe get too habituated in how we're living. So every once in a while, a story shows up that's been told before, and I always think that's valuable. I don't know if your grandmother was like mine, but my grandmother told stories from her youth over and over again. And I know that for my parents, it probably was irritating, but for me as a grandchild, it was so valuable because every time I heard the story, I was transformed and changed. So this is a story you may have heard before, and it has to do with the first part of how to change and what to do. So this has to do with Mullah Nasruddin, or Nasruddin, depending on how you have heard the story before. And this particular night, it was very, very dark outside Nasruddin's house, and he is on his hands and knees under the street light searching. And it's very late, and so there's nobody else around for quite a while. And then a passerby comes and he says, Mullah, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Nasruddin says, I lost my house key and I'm trying to find it. And so the man says, well, let me help. And so they're both down on their hands and knees looking, and they can't find it. And finally, the passerby says, Mullah, where did you last see it? And Nasruddin says, oh, it's in the house. And the passerby gets very annoyed and says, well, then why are we down here looking for it here? And Nasruddin says, well, there's more light here. Okay. So that first story has many meanings, but the way I'm going to use it today is to talk a little bit about the dark side of being a sacred human, the dark house. And the dark house is the part of our nature that is now in scientific terms called the subconscious mind. Why is it dark? It's dark because it's subconscious. We're not aware of it. We can't see it. We don't exactly know what's in there. And what we do know about the subconscious is that it is really the driver for a lot of our habitual experiences in life and our reaction to them and how we live on a day-to-day basis. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just hidden from view. And really what we know about the subconscious is that it runs about 95% of our life. And so it's important for us to find ways to shed light on this hidden area wherever we can and however we can. And the science of mind is a fabulous philosophy that does just that. How do we shed light on these things that are hidden from our conscious mind so often? Well, one way, there are several, but one way is to begin to look outwardly at what we see in our life and how we are relating to our life, what we're doing, in other words, as a way of seeing through a mirror into what's operating behind the scenes. So our outer circumstances are a profound mirror for our inner beliefs that are operating below the surface. I heard a story this week from one of our practitioners who's a fan of Louise Hay, who wrote a book, You Can Heal Your Life. And I've read that book several times, but not for a couple of years. And so Andrea Wood was sharing a story from Louise Hay's life, a very excellent practitioner of our philosophy. And Louise was raised in dire poverty and abuse. And so as a young child, she took in a lot of ideas that were not helpful in terms of living a positive, abundant life. So she tells the story on herself of, being just completely saturated with these negative ideas of low self-worth and self-esteem and poverty consciousness and feeling, abused by life. And she's in her, I forget which grade, second or third grade class, and they're having a party. And in her household, there are no parties and there is no cake. And for this party at school, there are 4 different cakes. It's like heaven. And all the other kids in her class are from a different socioeconomic strata of society. And so as the teacher announces that it's time to have cake, they all line up with their plates and they take 2 or 3 pieces of cake. They have cake on a regular basis. It's wonderful. And so they all are getting cake, and little Louise is in the back of the line, and she comes up to get her cake and it's all gone. There is no cake. And what she reports in her book is that episode in her life, when she looks back on it, she realizes that it was a perfect mirror for her feelings of unworthiness and that there is scarcity and there's never enough. And she went on in her life to change those beliefs and those ideas through the science of mind. So Nasruddin's key that he's looking for on the outside, that's actually inside, that's how a lot of us live. That's the other part of that story, is a lot of us hope that by living outwardly and not paying attention to the inner beliefs and habitual structures that we're operating from, we hope that just by living outer lives and getting more cars, more money, more wonderful people in our life, more life experiences, that somehow the inner beliefs will shift. And unfortunately, because they're below the surface, a lot of times they there's an old song, I forget who sang this. When you least expected, you're elected. You remember that one? Well, you're on candid camera. So what happens is these beliefs that are below the surface, maybe you've been filling your life with lots of things as distraction and, trying to address them outwardly, but they're still in there. They haven't been addressed. You're just trying not to have them. So they show up, and they show up in often very unfortunate and embarrassing ways. So to look at them, we can look at the outer life, like Louise did with the cake episode, and say, oh, I have some beliefs about this that showed up right there. And the next question is always as equally important, is like, and where are they showing up now? Where does that scarcity belief, where does that unworthiness show up now? And we begin to work to heal that by looking in an outward way. So doing that is really one of the prescriptions in the Science of Mind philosophy for how to continue to evolve and unlock ourselves from narrow prisms of perception. Ernest Holmes used to say that, I even wrote it down, one of the greatest difficulties in new thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and not enough practice. And so this whole talk is about practice. So this is the first practice, to look at your outer set of circumstances and the things that happen, examining them for limiting beliefs and ideas about ourselves and the world. This includes our manner of speech and how we affirm those limiting beliefs by how we talk about things. You see this particularly when you find yourself repeating things that your parents might have said. So be watching for that, just a hint. If you had a father that said money doesn't grow on trees, guess what? That's a scarcity thought. It doesn't grow on literal trees, but the thought behind it is it's not available very much. So we work with those thoughts and beliefs. So here's the second story that illustrates the next practice. This one is a lovely story. Nasruddin had his companion for life, his donkey, and they were itinerant salespeople. And so the donkey carried all of Nasruddin's wares on its back, and Nasruddin would often ride the donkey, but sometimes lead the donkey. The donkey had this unfortunate, delectable taste for chickpeas. And as Nasruddin was leading the donkey from village to village, he had made a point of trying to miss every village market, which all of these villages had, because at every market in that part of the world, there were sacks and sacks of chickpeas just waiting for his donkey to go crazy around. So he carefully plotted his route so that he missed all of the markets so that the donkey would behave and everything would be fine. Well, unfortunately, as he was approaching a village whose market day was typically not on the day he arrived, unbeknownst to him, they had to move the market day to the day he arrived. And no sooner had they entered the village square where the market was set up, when the donkey reared his head up, you could see the nostrils flaring and smelling, and without even a minute to think, Nasruddin was dragged with his donkey to one of the vendors who had sacks and sacks of chickpeas open for display. And the donkey, without hesitation, plunged its head into the sacks and began eating all of the merchant's wares. Well, the merchant was hysterically upset, of course, and Nasruddin was trying everything he could to pull the donkey out of the sack and get him away. But this is a strong animal. I don't know if you've ever been around donkeys. They're strong. And so finally, in desperation, Nasruddin hauled off and kicked the donkey in the rear. And the donkey reared up and dashed out of the marketplace and out of the village with Nasrudin hanging on to his halter for dear life. He's being dragged out of the village. And as he's being dragged, one of the villagers says, Nasrudin, Nasrudin, where are you going? And Nasrudin yells back, I don't know, ask the donkey. Right? Great story. Great story. So this story is about our habitual tendencies to involve ourselves in things that are not healthy for us and that are not good for us in lots of ways, and how difficult it is to pull out from that, and how often they run us around and keep us in a limited frame of expression. We find ourselves doing things that we really don't want to be doing. We know we don't want to be doing them, and we do them anyway. And maybe this is not true for you, but it certainly is true for me. And certainly in the broader world, we see this, I'm going to call it what it is, an addictive behavior happening all over the place, all over the bloody place. And so what do we do with the habituated patterns of behavior that we know are not good for us? We don't want to be doing them, and we do them anyway. What do we do with that? Well, we want to not be like Nasrudin, dragged around by those. And while it's a beautiful thing to try to plan your life so that you avoid different things that are going to hook you in, that's not always possible, is it? It's not something that we can always do. For example, if you're an alcoholic in recovery, it's wise and wonderful to be planning your life so that you are in an alcohol-free environment. And that works for a time. But eventually we have to do something more, don't we? Because unfortunately, at least in our culture, alcohol is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's on every end camp in every grocery store. It's available in drive-through. People will deliver it to your house now. So what do we do if we have this terrible habit that drags us around, that we're trying to work with, and we've carefully plotted a course, but eventually we're going to come to a village where that's going to show up, and the donkey of that habit will want to rear up and go right into it. What do we do? It's a really powerful question. What do we do? So in the science of mind, what we do is we actually seek not to just eliminate the habit, which doesn't work, but we replace the habit. We replace it with something that's healthier. And we do that over and over and over again so that when the old way shows up in our neuronet and our habitual way of seeing things, we have a new habit that's taken its place or is side by side with it that can hold it so that we don't operate in ways we no longer want to, and we operate instead in ways that we do. So what would a habit be that would be a replacement? Totally individual. You have to figure this one out yourself. But I can say that the habit needs to be something that is strong and vital and life-giving, life-bringing. It needs to not only take the place of the habit that was there for a reason, but it needs to address the reason underneath the old habit that was driving the show, the donkey. So when we look at addictive behaviors of all sorts, not just alcohol, but anything, including just, little stuff that you and I do habitually that we know isn't good for us, whether it's, eating a pastry when we said that we really weren't going to do that anymore, or anything else. There's something driving those behaviors. It's not like they just sort of showed up out of nowhere. There was a reason in the beginning where those behaviors were adopted. And so this is where the deep dive goes, where we ask ourselves some pretty potent questions about, well, what is it serving? What am I trying to do with that? When I first engaged with that, what did it provide me? And often what we discover is it provided some sort of relief. And then you ask the question, relief from what? Maybe you're a highly sensitive person and it numbed the world out a little bit. Maybe you have a fondness for feeling a deep level of security and control, and whatever the habit is makes you feel like you're somehow in control, which unfortunately doesn't actually work long term, as you may have noticed. Whatever the habit that you want to let go of is, there was a reason driving it, and when you get down to that reason, and usually it's a very simple, very direct um, reason, usually to get you out of some sort of pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, physical pain. Then you ask, well, what could I be doing that would assist me in that? That would help me in that, that is a healthy habit that I actually would enjoy and actually can practice enough so that it becomes the way that I relate to the world. It becomes the prism of my experience. It becomes the way that I do things so that I don't have to carefully monitor where I am so that I'm not triggered, but instead the trigger, when it shows up, I have a different whole way of being that can address what's triggered in different ways, and I can lean into that whenever that arises. This sounds so simple. It's not. If you've ever tried to change a habit, it's not that simple. And yet the mechanism is. And so the last point that I wanted to bring to you is a point about the actual mechanism of change, whether it is illuminating something in the subconscious or changing something that no longer is serving. There's a mechanism that the science of mind teaches and many of the great traditions teach as well. So I'm going to just tell you the mechanism and then I'll explain it, because maybe for you, you need it pretty simple. You know, I do. I'm one of those people. Just lay it out for me and then explain it, and I'll take in what I can. So here it is in a nutshell, very simple. You need a new idea. Period. End of discussion that way. A new idea, a new thought, a new perception of what's possible. So let's go back to Louise and the cake. So Louise needed a new idea of herself. She realized that she was operating in the expectation of not ever having enough. So the new idea, I have an abundant life. I always have more than enough to do whatever I need to do, whenever I need to do it, with whom I want to do it, right? Abundance consciousness, the new idea. So that's step number one. The next step, internally in mind and heart, you begin to involve yourself with that new abundance model or whatever the model is that you've chosen as the new idea. So you take the new idea and you begin to apply it inwardly. You begin to think about it. You involve yourself with it. You see what your life would be like if you were living from that place. You feel what it would be like to live and walk and breathe and act in the world from that place. And you make it as real as possible in your mind. And not just once, not just twice, but you work it. You work it and you work it so that when you sit down to think about that new idea, to involve yourself with that new idea, when you stand up from where you've been sitting, you are a changed person mentally. So every day you're working that idea, working that idea, working that idea. And you know, the reason, well, I'll explain later. I keep forgetting. So the next one is once you've really involved yourself in thought and feeling and gotten this so clearly in your mind how that's operating in you now, what you then begin to do is you begin to move out into the world and apply it. So there's the new idea, the involution of the idea, and the application of the idea. And that application is critical. It's lovely to have theory, as Holmes says, but it's the practice that makes it actually grounded into a reality that's real for you. So how do you apply it? Every situation you meet, you apply it. Even situations that had nothing to do with the particular specifics, you operate from the new idea everywhere. You begin to see that it can be applied in numerous ways. And in this way, you actually have done what's called a keystone approach to your whole subconscious mind. What's a keystone? It's an idea that you have this one key new idea, and without even realizing it, as you invest yourself in it and begin to practice it, it's like that first domino that you tip over and it tips all the other ones over, that one new idea applies to so many different things in our life that without even trying, as we practice that one, boop, 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 life changes right out in front of us. It's amazing and it's fun. So I'm almost out of time. So just let me talk a little bit about, okay, where do you get a new idea? Well, there are a million of them, let me tell you. Where do I get my new ideas? I read a lot. I do a lot of spiritual study. I listen to a lot of spiritual teachers, not just, people like me, but people in all different arenas of the spiritual spectrum. I look deeply into neuroscience and psychology and sociology, and I invest myself in ideas of new ways of encountering the world and thinking about myself and being in the world. And I do that on a regular basis every day. Why? Because I'm excited by new ideas, and as I get excited about them, I begin to involve myself with them effortlessly, and I begin to think and feel what it would be like if I moved in the direction of those ideas in my own life. I start applying it in my mind and my heart, and then just almost without even trying, situations start to arise where I can actually apply them outwardly. And that allows me to practice new ways of thinking, new ways of relating, new ways of talking. I know you're like me. I know that if you look back 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, you are not the same person. How did that happen? You invested yourself in new ideas, you practiced them in your mind and heart, and then you began to live them out into the world, and they became your new reality. That process never stops. As sacred humans, it's always available. It has nothing to do with age, nothing to do with socioeconomic class. It has nothing to do with race or sexual orientation. It is the way we're wired. And so we can, no matter where we are and no matter what we've been thinking, we can change. The mechanism is in place. So the last question for you is, are you ready? Because change is inevitable. And we can change, as I was saying to the earlier service, we can change by being pushed by pain, or we can change by being pulled by a new idea, a vision. I know which one I'm choosing as as much of the time as I can possibly manage. So I'll do a prayer for this. And if you're ready to change in some way, to invoke a new idea, this prayer is for you. I speak this in the first person, knowing that within me, around me, and through me runs an incredible intelligence that contains every possible reality for me. This availability of all that is, any idea manifesting itself through me, is a magnificent gift from the universal one that I am part of. And I accept that gift in this day, opening myself to a new idea of how I can live more joyously, more abundantly, free from habits that are damaging and no longer serve me. As I focus my heart and mind on what I don't want and what I do want, the new idea takes hold, and I am drawn to how I want to be, what that looks like and feels like in ways that at this moment are just magical to consider and contemplate. And what I know is that that magic soon becomes my reality, my norm, my new normal, as they're saying now. And every day I commit to invoking and inviting and practicing that new normal until it becomes what I am. I'm so grateful knowing that there is a law that manifests these new ideas into reality by means of me. And so I take responsibility, the radical responsibility of choosing out of all the ideas that could be manifested in me, the one that I would most love to have now. And the universe says, yes. And so it is. All right. That was a fun talk. I love Nazarudin. So a couple things. We have recently opened up for our 9:30 service to be in person. And I'm inviting you to consider coming. You can come as often as you like. There are no restrictions. We've removed any restrictions from that. And so all you have to do is go to the CSL Bellingham website and register for one of the Sundays or more. And we'd love to invite you to come and be part of our in-person 9:30 service. It's half an hour long, very, very succinct and beautiful, and then you're off into your day. And what a beautiful time of year to come. Now, why is this now available? Well, because we have installed the most wonderful, exquisite air filtration system that's made on the planet. And it cost a pretty penny and was worth every dime because we feel so much safer. It kills the COVID viruses, it kills bacteria, it monitors the room for CO2 emissions. So you're going to be, I'm pretty confident you're going to be extremely safe. Now, of course, everyone who comes in is asked to wear a mask. And unless I'm talking, I also will be wearing one. So go on and register and come on in and enjoy meeting your friends, your community members one of these Sundays soon. Now we're doing in the midst of this Earth Day celebration all month, and so we've already had some wonderful things happen. What's coming up is our independent film center, the Pickford, which you can find online from wherever you are in the world, is hosting a free week of showing a documentary called Kiss the Ground. And I'm inviting you to consider viewing that documentary and then possibly joining in with our Earth Steward team that's part of our center in a Zoom discussion on Earth Day itself, April 22nd at 6 p.m. They would love to have you join them after you've watched that documentary and talk about the concepts and what we can do to help the Earth regenerate itself. Also on Earth Day, the 22nd, which is a Thursday, from noon to 3, many of our gardeners are coming to build a lasagna bed garden bed, which and in building it, you'll learn how to do that. It is one of the successful methods in our Pacific Northwest of creating a garden space that's very nourishing for the vegetables and also is fairly weed free. So it's a wonderful thing to learn. And as you help us build that bed, we will also be planting that bed in that day. And you'll be helping the center help those who are experiencing food shortages. So all of the organic vegetables that we grow go to our local food banks and food pantries and low income places so that people who don't have access to organic produce will have it abundantly all summer long. So thank you in advance for those of you who can help. Be sure and bring a mask because we want to stay safe even while we're outside. The other thing that the Earth Stewards are doing is they've invited one of our wonderful community members, Kathy Angel, to lead us on a walk in nature. And so on the 24th of this month at 10 a.m., Kathy is going to meet anyone who would like to join her at the Stimson Family Reserve here in town to do a moderate hike around that beautiful nature preserve. We'd love you to join them if that's your thing. But if it's not your thing, there's something else happening on the 24th at 10 a.m. that you may want to involve yourself in, and that is here at the center. I'm looking out at our incredible, magnificent campus. And Deb Dole, one of our practitioners, is going to be leading us in creating a nature mandala. And this is a tremendously beautiful meditative practice of joining with the earth, listening to the earth, gathering different natural items and then creating a mandala of expression to connect us to the roots of who we are as sacred humans and the incredible connection we have with the divine. So you have some wonderful opportunities coming your way. I also, these are not in the announcements right now, but I wanted to tell you about two things. If you're locally, we are looking for some volunteers very specifically. We're looking now that spring has sprung, our grass on our campuses is growing very, very quickly. And my husband, Joe, is looking for people to be on his mow team. We have 2 riding lawnmowers and they need to be used every week to keep the meadows in check. And So if you are available to help Joe, please contact the office and we will make sure Joe gets your email address and your phone number, and he'll call you to get you signed up for the Mo calendar. Likewise, what's happening is as we open up and we continue to do hybrid services with live stream, our sound team, Deb Dole and Philip Flores, are looking for help so that they're not having to be here every single Sunday, which they have been for months and months and months. So if you are someone that is not afraid of technology, maybe has an appreciation for sound in a room, it's not that hard to learn how to do this, and they would be happy to show you so that you could become part of their team and give them a Sunday off now and again. We'd love you to volunteer for that. Just contact the center office and we'll pass your information on to them. And can I say thank you? These two have been stalwart supports throughout this whole pandemic, and they could really use some help. So think about it, will you? And maybe give us a call or an email. Lastly, I just wanted to let you know that Creativity as a Spiritual Practice is back. It's happening on Friday, May 7th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. And we have some wonderful musical folks that are going to be sharing about their music and how being musical is a spiritual practice for them. You are welcome to join, whether you can carry a tune in a bucket or not. It's always a fun discussion, and we'd love to have you be a part of it. Thank you so much for joining us and for your very generous donations to our center. To take us out on a really up note, let's go back to Amber and sing one last song together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Andrea. All right, well, let's sing out into this beautiful day together. Gonna climb this mountain, won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. Let's sing that again. Gonna climb this mountain, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. Leave behind what's weighing me down, wash away what's holding me back. My heart is falling, face forward, feet on the ground, living in this courage I found. The sky is calling, gonna climb this mountain, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. Leave behind what's weighing you down, leave behind what's weighing me down, wash away what's holding me back. My heart is falling, face forward, feet on the ground, living in this courage I found. The sky is calling, leave behind what's weighing me down, wash away what's holding me back. My heart is falling, face forward, feet on the ground, living in this courage I found. The sky is calling, gonna climb this mountain, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. Let's sing one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. You all have a wonderful week and we'll see you again soon.